Hi there. I'm Beatashok Chatterjee, author of Driftwood, and my second and latest, The People Tree. And this is the book that I want to talk to you about for the next minute or so. I won't take much of your time. Nice cover, don't you think? Thank you for publisher Readomania. A lot of people have told me how much they've liked the cover and the stories inside, of course. Okay, so what's this book about? This book is about 14 short stories, each different in style and substance. I've tried to make them all, different so that they all stay in your mind. The title, it's obviously a pun on the word people. Like the people tree outside my house, which is the tree of life. My people tree is about the people inside this book. The fruit are the characters that belong to each story. So that's why I named it. And let's see, what's this book about? Well, all kinds of stories. From the Khalistan insurgency in the 80s in Punjab to a glimpse of the Mumbai underworld.
The social theme of PILF this year is the power of golden years, of course, referring to senior citizens at par. To highlight the social theme, our first discussion in Studio One is Silver Talkies presents 50 Shades of Empowerment. Guests participating in the discussion are Ms. Nidhi Chawla, Ms. Aruna Venkatesan, and Shiv Kumar. Nidhi Chawla is the co-founder and business head of Silver Talkies. She is passionate about making active aging a viable goal for older people and dreams of a society of empowered older adults. She has several years of experience in the financial services sector, having worked with SREI, International Securities, and McKinsey and Company. Nidhi has been the recipient of several leadership awards for her work in the eldercare space and is currently a member of the CII, Senior Care Committee. Aruna Venkatesan says in her own words, I love to be called just by my name Aruna. I turned 60 this year and life has been wonderful with a variety of experiences with work, family, friends, etc. It's been 7 years since I took my VRS, and since then I have made a conscious decision to do things which I missed out on. I started solo traveling, following a good lifestyle, acting, music, dance, etc. Age is just a number, and there are lots of opportunities to look forward to and keep oneself busy because an empty mind is a devil's workshop. Keeping myself busy and following my heart is my mantra. Shiv Kumar is a senior advocate who believes in law, helping to empower senior citizens. He has been the author of the draft legislation exclusively for elders' rights that the current law draws from. He's a trained and certified mediator. Shiv also wears many other hats, one of them being part of a theatre group in Bengaluru. He believes in consciously working towards creative pursuits and has used these as a way to keep himself engaged and occupied in his older years. I now request Ms. Nidhi Chawla to begin the discussion.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, PLF. I think before we get started, I just wanted to say a big thank you to the PLIF team and Dr. Manjari Prabhu to, really putting a spotlight on, and choosing the social theme as the golden years, because I think it's a topic which really requires some serious discussion, because there are so many things that are unattended to, or have not been even heard about. So thank you so much, PLF team, to really choose golden years as your social theme for this year's edition, and wishing you the very best. A hearty welcome, Aruna, Shiv. Nice to have both of you here and to be having this discussion with you, because I think today's topic, as I was thinking about it, we've called it 50 Shades of Empowerment. And I thought I'll look up what the dictionary, how the dictionary defines empower. And I was surprised to see it says giving someone the authority or power to do something, right? So it's almost like you need to empower somebody, right? And even at Silver Talkies, when we define our mission, we talk about how to, our mission has been to empower seniors with opportunities, with companionship, with the community that would help them age actively and happily, and in turn stay healthy for a longer time. Because it's our belief at Silver Talkies that active aging is the most promising and economical form of preventive healthcare. But then I was also looking at the subtitle, the it says the power that you can have. The way I looked at it, the solutions, it says solutions for power in your golden years. So to me it almost seems like, what we are going to talk about today is having the power to empower ourselves. Why kind of leave that power with somebody else to empower you, right? Why not take that power in my own hand and empower myself to do things that I would like to do? So before we kick in and get into that discussion, I will open with this question to both of you. What is your definition of empowerment? How do you see empowerment? What do you how do you what are your reflections on the word? Aruna, how about, shall we get started with you?
Hi Nidhi, hi Shiv. So
Hi.
what I would like to say is, see, it is not a power. I think it is what I need. I feel comfortable. I need to do at this. I don't need anybody's validation to do something at this age. So what I am comfortable with, what I want to do, is what I think empowerment means.
To you, so having the agency to do what you would like to do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Shiv, what are
But
your
don't need
thoughts?
a validation from someone.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Empowerment to me means the entitlement, thing to do what you wish to do, irrespective of responses, irrespective of what other people in society or your family members or everybody else might say. I would actually redefine that to say self empowerment rather than say empowerment.
Hmm.
Because empowerment talks about, necessarily will talk about external agencies, external persons beyond your reach. So once we look at that concept as a process of self-empowerment, a process of realizing the potential within yourself, you're on a plane of empowerment. That would be my reaction to
Right.
start with.
Yeah, so I think great. So I think we are pretty much on, understand the topic on similar lines, so we can, kind of progress from there. So Aruna, my question to you would be, you have come a long way, right? From having a corporate career where you were working with Airport Authority of India for many years, right? Uh, and then you kind of decided to retire early because you wanted to pursue your own interests and you wanted to take care of your daughters, right? Who now are in Dublin and you stay alone in Bangalore, right? While your husband continues to work in Chennai. So you moved from there to kind of pursuing your interests in, you took to solo traveling, you started your career in modeling and acting, right? So over, if you were to go back, and reflect on your journey, has it been a journey of moving from feeling disempowered to being empowered? Or has it been, being empowered to staying empowered? Just the requirement or your definition of empowerment may have shifted over years. Has that been the case? So what has that been like for you, the whole journey?
See, the journey, like, if you ask me, I was quite busy. Even though I had this interest, I had the capability to do these things. My focus was mainly on my kids and my family and my career. So that was the reason I could not do much for myself. Okay, so now I feel this is the age where most of us would be having kids who are grown up. And I think this is the right time to do what you couldn't when you were young, which you really wanted to do. But due to certain, family and society pressures and all those things, you are supposed to behave in a way. So that's what I feel. After once I knew I have done my job, I thought, yes, now this is the time when I need to look into myself, have some me time for me, and try to do things which I missed out.
So when you were, you mentioned the word societal norms and you were fulfilling certain requirements that your role required, right? At that point in time, when you were living through that stage of your life, did it ever feel binding and did it ever feel that, oh, I am unable to do things that I wanted to do?
Yeah, of course, the feeling was there, but I think with the children growing up and all, the focus was more on the family and kids. So you didn't have time to do all that. No doubt there are people who do those things also. But for me, it is always, when you do certain thing, give it the full attention to it. Give 100% when you're doing something to it. So that is how I feel. I was more focused on my kids and my family rather than doing things which I wanted. So if I look back, I have seriously not done anything in those years to please myself. It was only for my kids, my family, my office, that's all. So that is when I thought, when I took my VRS, that, okay, this is getting too much. Once I know my kids are settled, I think I need to give time to myself and do things which I like. Even the simple things, I just wanted to come out of that and focus on me.
Right. So, Shiv, taking a cue from what Aruna is saying, do you think with age comes more freedom?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It comes with a lot of freedom in the sense that a lot of what you do is forgiven and accepted as being a part of the old age process. And so you can get away with lots of things that you would otherwise not have been able to get away with. And it's something as simple as calling somebody an idiot, or misplacing something or saying something that is inappropriate. Those are all quite comfortably attributable to old age. But yes, it's not only old age that gives me the freedom. It's the realization, as Aruna pointed out, that it's about time you thought about yourself. And there is nothing wrong in thinking about yourself. Most of us have this feeling of guilt that I live for others. My life is for others. But at some point of time, you begin to realize at the end of it all, what? So when you shift focus to yourself, then you automatically become empowered. And taking off from where Rana said again, my situation has been completely different. I have not been in a job. I am an advocate. I have run my own office from the time I started practice. So age or no age, it gave me a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to do, irrespective of or not being bound by shackles of employment and other people. So I am an atypical person. But a typical person who is sort of enjoined in and trapped in job schedules and working in the rat race and so on, I sense that freedom comes with age because the responsibility goes, or we discard those responsibilities. Not that you could have not have discarded those responsibilities much earlier, but there is a cultural ethos within us that prevents us from rejecting those responsibilities when we are young. These are all stereotyped profiles. And as far as I'm concerned, my freedom came from the time I was young, irrespective of when I got married. Because of one reason, we trained our children to be independent. We were not dependent on them, they were not dependent on us. So that gave you a large area of freedom to operate what you wanted, where you wanted. And that is what I realized was the beginning of the empowerment process for everybody, within and me, within the family and me.
Okay. But do you think there is a differentiation by gender?
Oh, absolutely, no question about it. As Aruna herself pointed out, I mean, she herself has admitted that when she was young, they were mother, she was the mother, she used to look after the children, and so on and so forth. These are stereotyped roles. Mothers look after children, fathers go to the office and earn their livelihood. Why don't we try reversing the roles? I was a hands on father. So, if we are still stuck with these stereotyped role plays and expectations and labeling, then obviously gender discrimination in terms of women, you will have to wait until what she calls all the responsibilities are over. Yes, there is. Men, rightly or wrongly, let's not go into that subject, but men, rightly or wrongly, assume that empowerment, whether you like it or not. They take it for granted. And in the case of men, I think it translates to entitlement. Therefore, I, as a man, can do what I want to, but you, as a woman, shall not, because you are bound by certain rules of society and norms. It does make a difference. Makes a huge difference, according to me. It does.
Aruna, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree to that.
So you tell us a little bit more about when you decided to take VRS and kind of break free and put the spotlight on yourself, right? How was that journey? That initial inertia that had to be broken away from, right? And you had to really, and the first time you decided to travel solo, what was that experience all like? And was the environment supportive? Were the people around you supportive? How was that?
See, like I said, once I came out of that, I took a decision. It is for me. I did not bother much about what people said, or I did not wait for anybody else to respond to what I'm doing or something. So I started doing what I like, and it was a real freedom. Because see, I felt okay, I have done my duties. There's no one I am answerable to now. So let me start doing things which I missed out. Let me start doing things, I used to love traveling. My father was in defense, and so I have never stayed for more than 1.5, 2 years in a place. So I really missed that. So I thought, okay, let me. So when I started solo traveling, it was like, I found myself. Yeah, it was a great feeling.
So what was the motivation behind traveling solo? Why did you say, if you wanted to travel, why not in groups? What was the motivation behind traveling solo?
Solo, I feel, uh, like I didn't want anybody else to be with me. I wanted to do things myself. And I feel it is the best way to travel. When you travel, the things which you like, you wait, see, and understand those things. But when it's in a group, you have to listen to other people, behave accordingly, and you can't plan for what you actually want. So when it's solo, it's a totally different feeling. You can
So it
do
was like
you
the
are
100% freedom you wanted for yourself,
yeah, yes.
right? So
I
how did
want,
your family? Yeah, yes, Shiv.
I want to tease Aruna with this. Suppose you were to travel not with your spouse but with somebody else, what would happen?
Solo traveling is the best.
All right.
So I don't know, but how did your family react to it? Your daughters, your husband, what was their reaction? Was the extended family, how was their reaction to your decision?
See, most of them were very encouraging. My friends, some of my family members, and all those things. That how could you do this? Like, uh, people don't take a bus from one state to another just to get down when there is somebody to drop and pick up. I have seen
Right.
ladies like that. So they were very shocked when they saw that I traveled abroad all alone. So they were mixed thing, but mostly people were very welcoming. They used to ask about how I am doing it, and they were really sometimes they used to say that I can never do this. I don't know how you are doing. So it was a mixed feeling. But my biggest support were my daughters. They used to tell that what you like, do it. Why do you need to think about others or anything? So go do what you like. So they were always there. And whenever I did solo traveling, of course, I was in constant touch. And I made sure whichever country I've gone, I knew one person in that country. So that for my safety sake or something, a constant touch with someone. So my family knew what I was doing.
So when you decided to move into, because ageism is one issue that is very less talked about, but it is a very real issue, right? How,
Yes.
because of age, there is discrimination, whether it is in employment, whether it is in terms of opportunities, or even understanding, what seniors need. There is a lot of disparity in that understanding, right? Through our work at Silver Talkies, we have found that actually there are so many inspiring seniors and there are so many positive aging stories around that we really should be talking about that rather than stereotyping old age as as somebody who needs to now retire and then they should sit in one corner or take care of family or take care of grandkids, right? It's something, it's it really feels like a time where we need to move away from that kind of thinking and ideology, right? So when you stepped into modeling, right, it is not it's not something which is till for a long, people may talk about it as modeling at your age. Is that something that you experienced when you stepped into modeling and acting?
No, I didn't have any such reactions from anyone. They were,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, shocked that when you could do all this, why were you so quiet for so many years? But we did
Mm-hmm.
not see this shade of you, this face of you for so many years. We never knew you could do all those things. So that was the reaction.
Oh, that's good for you because, yeah, that ageism is something, for example, somebody else that I know of who is also in the modeling and acting space. She talks about how, she has been told time and again that, you are at an age where you can sit at home being a grandmother. Why are you out here in Mumbai, pursuing a career like this at this late stage in life? So I think that's a very common refrain that people tend to hear about relating to age. Shiv, any thoughts on that? Because you also have been, working with seniors in your line of work itself, because you have been instrumental in the whole elderly helpline, and plus you help out a lot of seniors facing a lot of issues. So, what are your thoughts around ageism?
Ageism is what you make of it.
Mm-hmm.
You, you decide that you're old, fair enough. Your psyche takes over and you feel that you're old. But then there's also a sense of realism that must come into it. Just because you convince yourself that you are not old, you are chronologically old. There's no doubt about it. There are certain changes that occur within you. There are physical changes, mental changes, cognitive changes. So when one reaches age, as we call it, beyond 50, beyond 60, one needs to have a realistic estimate and estimation of what is it that you can and what is it that you cannot do. And it is when we cross that line of trying to do something that you cannot do because you're no longer 25 or 30, that is when the disempowerment begins. So within the parameters of what you can realistically achieve and do, you can empower yourself. You can do whatever you want to do. There is no issue in that at all. I
Right.
mean, so far as I'm concerned, when I was dealing with senior citizens in the Elders Helpline that we established about 17 years ago, this is the common strain that stretches across all segments of the population. I want to do this, but I'm not allowed to do this. Now, what you want to do is sometimes completely unrealistic. For example, the BPL segment of society, the below the poverty line segment of society, the aged, the husband and the wife want to be alone, but their economic conditions does not allow them to build maybe a home or a house which allows them the freedom to be alone. So that's an unrealistic expectation. How do you empower yourself there? So the only way to empower yourself there is to take cognizance of reality, of existing circumstances, and reframe what you want to do within that framework. Otherwise, you're in a conflict situation. And from what Aruna talked about, that society did not react to her modeling and so on and so forth. I don't see why society should react. She would make an excellent model anyway. So people would be happy that Rana was modeling. But why do we, as senior citizens, in the process of empowerment, worry about what people say? It's not necessary. Please remember that when we reach the age of 50 or 60 or 70, empowerment simply means I am entitled to do what I want to do. It's not asking permission to do what I want to do. That stage is over. You have done what you think you ought to have done. So where is the scope to be shy, to be reticent, to be hesitant, and to demand and say, this is what I want to do? That is empowerment. That is the shade of empowerment we have to look at, which means we need to convince ourselves that there's nothing wrong in my demanding. Why do we feel shy? That's where I would come from. That's where I would come from. And
But
frankly, Nidhi, in my case, I had multiple avenues. I took over the helpline, helping others. And I have been single, I've been a widower for the last 18 years. So, what became empowerment to me meant helping others, senior citizens, to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And believe me, theater gives you a platform to do what you want to do without being criticized for it, because it's a play. So you pick and choose your roles, play a role that you've never played in your life. Be King Henry in a play, the Mad King, be mad, no issues. So that was the route that gave me the empowerment that I was looking for. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
no, I'm just thinking also aloud here that yes, you and Aruna may have achieved. Sorry, I'm hearing my own echo. Can you hear is my voice echoing?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, so a large segment of senior citizens may still be emotionally or financially dependent on their families, right? Where they find themselves bound by some of those societal norms that we started our conversation with, right? And they may not really find those opportunities or even that courage, right, to break away and say okay and assert their own independence, because here we are talking about that freedom and that independence that each one of us should have to do things that we would want to do, right? But maybe not everybody is able to exercise that freedom. So what would you say to, those people who are listening in to us who really desire that but really do not know how, and how to go about it, and even if they have an opportunity to do it, what would you say to them?
May I, Aruna, may I take 2 minutes of your time? I'm sure they want you to respond rather than me.
No, this is
Aruna and
for
I,
both of you. This is for both of you. So yeah, please go ahead, Shiv.
believe me, people like Aruna and me are a privileged lot. There's no doubt about it. We have had platforms, we've had the wherewithal, we've had the kind of people who would encourage us. There are platforms which have given us the opportunity to move forward. But a large segment of the population does not have these opportunities.
Right.
So we hear theory, create an opportunity. Now, this is a theory that I'm unable to understand. You can't create an opportunity when the environment doesn't exist. So you create an environment. Empowerment means creating an environment. How do you create that environment for people who want to do something but are constrained by societal norms, by traditions, or by superstition, or whatever it be? You have to find a group who is on the same page as you are. It may be one, it may be two. For all you know, it may be a companionship. It may be a companion whom you may want to spend the rest of your life with. It may not necessarily relate to marriage or a marital relationship, but it may be someone who is a confidant, who understands your feelings, whose feelings you are able to understand. So it's a very difficult question that you are asking. Society must move forward toward recognizing that elders need a different environment. And that environment largely is the creation of various segments of society. But if they don't do it, we as senior citizens should not be sitting back saying, oh my God, they have not done it. Do it yourself. Catch hold of one person, two persons who think alike, who are in similar situations. And that is what I would suggest to listeners who are caught in this web of wanting to do something, but either don't have the courage to do it, or are not financially independent enough to do it, and most important, don't have the courage to do it. Courage is something you have to build within yourself. How does that come about? By seeing two other people in similar situations. A single person may not have the courage, but two or three people getting together gives you a platform of courage, because one begins to rely on the other for that, what we call spurti or the encouragement. That is what that would be my response.
Aruna?
Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Shiv is saying. So it is. I have seen. I told you. I have come across so many people who want to come in, but like you said, either society or their family, they are not ready to come out. So they know, like he said, it is the courage which they have to build. We can only show them the way, show them the place, what they could do. We cannot pull them from there. So each person, they have to decide what they have to do. If they think, okay, they are capable, they have the freedom to do, then they have to build that courage and come out of it and
No, but
start doing
Aruna,
things also.
no, but Aruna, building up that courage for people who have never had that courage is impossible. There has to be an external stimulus. And who is that external stimulus? People like you and me, who maybe have to go to them and tell them that there is nothing wrong in what you're doing. I'm not even asking you for a commitment. Try, make the effort, and we are with you in this effort. Isn't that what we are expected to do? At
Yeah.
least people like us who are in the privileged position, even as senior citizens. Because people, generally, people are not even aware of what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's left to us to make them realize, look at your potential, for God's sake. These are the things that you can do. Why don't you? I mean, at the end of the road, if they say, no, I still want to be a doormat somewhere in my life, fair enough. There's nothing you can do about it. But the process of empowerment must begin from people who have experienced this and therefore bring them into the fold. That's where organizations like Silver Talkies and other people come into the picture. That is a platform. Empower them, encourage them, make them a part of yourself, inspire them by your stories to take half a step. It need not be 10 steps forward.
No, that's a
Maybe.
fair point. In fact, no, Shiv, something that you spoke about just a few minutes ago, the whole companionship angle, right? And I think this brings me to another very real challenge which exists, and more so it becomes prominent with age, is the whole loneliness and the isolation aspect of our lives, right? Like in your case, for example, both of you do live alone, right? You, Shiv, have your kids just in the building next to you, but Aruna's daughters are abroad, right? She's pretty much by herself, right? Now, how do you tackle that whole loneliness? And you spoke about that companion, right? Having that confidant who could really, you could share your views with, you could share your desires with, and who would egg you on, who would encourage you to really do things which you would like to do, right? Now, how do you really make that a reality, right? For example, at Silver Talkies, the whole idea or the foundation lies on having this kind of a community, having a community-led platform where the older adults come together and they find that strength amongst themselves, amongst each other, right? So one inspires the other, and kind of in a community environment, the others are encouraged to do it. For example, it was when we started, even we were very misled in our perception and our understanding that, okay, we are creating an organization for older adults, so maybe some of the activities that would interest them would be things like yoga or spirituality, things which we are common mistakes, right? Like I have learned it from home that when I am checking in on my parents, I first thing I ask them about is their physical health, right? I forget to check in on how my mom is feeling emotionally, or has she had an interaction with someone or not, right? So these are some of the common mistakes that all of us tend to make. So how do you kind of bring people to understand that there are ways to tackle loneliness? And what I have experienced is that people don't even recognize it till it becomes very severe and debilitating, that oh, I can't handle this anymore, I'm feeling very alone, there is nobody to talk to, right? So I just feel sometimes that it's important that that power that we were talking about, that power that I need to take into my hands to take care of myself, needs to come in very early on, till it becomes, it reaches a stage where it becomes really challenging. So what do you talk, how do you address that, the whole companionship and the loneliness issue that we really have?
You need to redefine companionship.
Mm-hmm.
The most
Okay.
common way of understanding companionship. I'm sorry, Aruna, I'm probably intruding on your time, but um,
Please,
we
please.
need to redefine it. Why do we need to redefine it? You talk about companionship to any person, the immediate response and connotation is marriage, a marital relationship. Everybody needs to understand that companionship does not necessarily mean marriage or a marital relationship or a physical relationship for that matter. No, it simply means a very, very happy relationship with somebody who is on the same page as you are. It may be completely emotional, it may not even be emotional. The presence, physical presence of that person may itself be comforting to you and therefore empowers you to do what you want to do. So, first thing we need to do is redefine companionship. Second, we need to set in process a motion not only amongst the senior citizens but primarily amongst the family, against the youngsters who are the most often who are the objectors to this kind of relationship, to make them understand that a senior citizen also has emotional needs, also is dependent the way other people are dependent on their family. I'm also dependent. And there is nothing wrong in seeking emotional or even physical or even financial satisfaction in a relationship which is only a friend and not necessarily marital. We need to educate. There needs to be education. But again, this education is a two-way process. I can preach, but you must be willing to listen. Otherwise, I'm talking to a wall. So the process begins by me understanding what is it that the senior citizen or elder needs, tackling those needs through a process of conversation, of dialogue, of persuasion, and maybe actively, proactively finding somebody for that person whom he or she feels comfortable with. We walk the talk. We have to walk the talk. We don't. We talk. We don't walk the talk. So that, I believe that's the only way we can actually get seniors to understand. We need to have intergenerational conversations where the stigma attached to a 73-year-old person like me getting into a companionship relationship should not be looked down on. There is no stigma. Problems arise because there is a stigma that society attaches to it, because family attaches to it. So we need to tackle that portion. That's how I would tackle it.
So I would just share something here. So, at Silver Talkies, we do get a lot of emails from older people with the whole companionship angle in their mind, right? And majority of those emails that come to us are around either finding a live-in partner or, or I'm looking to kind of somebody to take care of me kind of a thing, right? And I have been pleasantly surprised when I think there have been a few instances where it has been the child who has reached out to us saying that I have a single parent and I would really like them to have a meaningful life now. They should have a partner, they should have a companion. I'm really looking out and have spoken to so the parent and the child have actually had a discussion and decided that this is the next step forward, for their parent, that they should find a companion in their life. So, it's really encouraging to see that we seem to be turning a new leaf slowly, but we do seem to be turning that new leaf. So, which is really, really nice. But I think, yeah, it's still a long, long way to go,
Yeah.
and to kind of the definition of companionship that you were talking about, that still needs to be accepted.
Let me red flag in the story that you gave me. I've also
Yeah.
had experiences, both personally and otherwise, where you had children talking with the senior citizen, suggesting his companionship. Delve a little deeper, which I did in half a dozen cases, and you find that the reason why this is being suggested is to palm off responsibility from the children to a third person. I mean, there are both ways. This sword cuts both ways. So it is not as though every suggestion of this kind that comes from the children or the family is bona fide. It also comes from the fact that the children may be in the US or outside. And therefore, keeping track of a father or a mother here is a little bit of a problem. So give it to somebody Let them take care of it. I will do checkbook charity. But I think that's one of the best ways of empowerment is to find somebody whom you want to be with. Just
Okay,
as a
given that, yeah, no, given that we have last few minutes, Aruna, I'll ask you the last question before we move into the Q&A section with the audience. So, what role do you think family and especially children can really play in empowering their own parents? Is there a role that they can play?
Definitely, 100% children. And especially one thing I would like to say, Nidhi, what I've noticed is this millennial children, especially. I've seen a lot of change in them. I think we wouldn't have thought so much when I was a kid of, or I was around 20, 25 for my parents. What today's children I'm seeing, it is just not my daughters. I've seen a lot of places where children say, "You be happy." They are not worried about their, financial thing, how much, like their real estate worth, everything. They just say, don't even mention to us. You just live. I have met so many children who talk about it. They say you do what you like. See, I think once you give them a good education and they're settled well, and today being like, the nuclear families, one kid, two kid, they are busy with their lives. So about loneliness you are talking, it is a thing in my house that both my daughters definitely speak at least 20-minute to 40 minutes, depending on how busy they are, a video call every day. They will certainly talk to me. So that way, I have noticed that children are really, they don't want all these things from the parents. Most of them. See, in every scenario, there are different cases. You
Right.
have children who are, uh, you know, the other extreme, and I have mostly seen children who are like this, who say, "Mom, you be happy, do what you like, don't even worry." Even when we say something about something, when you come next, shall we do this? They say no. You please live your life, do what you like, don't give me anything. I don't need anything. Even for the wedding, sometimes I've seen kids saying, "No, we don't want anything. We will do it ourselves. You live your life." So I feel children today are quite, and even I have seen some kids who have got their mother or father married because they feel, because they are not able to handle, like he says. See, it could be there may be cases like that, but they feel, "I am not able to give full time." And I agree to that. We can't be expecting our children to be doing a lot of things for us. Even today, call me 10 times and all. They have their family or their work or wherever they are. So it is a good way. I feel the children today are quite responsible. That's what I have seen.
Right. Right.
before you close, a very interesting experience just 3 days ago when we were together having a family counseling as a part of my professional career. The daughter and the son both were there, and they said, "Sir, Mr. Shiv Kumar, sir, we want her to be happy and live happily." So I asked them, "What exactly do you mean by happily?" "No, sir, she should just do what we say."
Ah,
There you are. See, children have defined happiness for the parent. Exactly opposite of what Aruna is saying. And this is 3 days ago as a part of my consultation. So there are both shades. There are
right.
not only 50 shades, there are 150 shades of empowerment that we can talk about.
Right. And I think, yeah, to summarize, I think what we said, it's definitely about looking into what we want, keeping those desires alive, but even being realistic about those desires, and then taking those, at least starting with those baby steps to really experiment with what is it that you want to do in life and to really carry on from there, right? So that's all that empowerment really requires. So yeah, we can take questions now. Um, okay, so here is a question. Did you feel disempowered when you were doing things for the children and career, or were you enjoying it? Aruna, that's a question for you.
No, I truly enjoyed it because, like I said, when I do something, that is my nature. That when I am into something, I give my best. So for me, that was the focus. That was my main focus. So so once that was done, then I thought it is my time now.
So I think it was about living in that moment. That was your present. You
Yes.
enjoyed every bit of it, and this is now your present, and this moment is what you're enjoying now, right?
Very correct. Yeah.
So it's just about living in that present.
Yes.
Wasn't that itself an empowerment? That you were empowered to take care of the children. Forget the
Yes.
anger.
Yes.
That is the empowerment.
It is the empowerment. Yes.
That's the empowerment. So
See, I
every
was
stage of life.
doing so many things, but for me, I knew this gives me happiness. This is what is my focus now, and that is what I did.
Yeah. So the second question is from Colonel Sam. He's asking, what do you think is the right time or age to start looking after yourself before it's too late? Do you think there is a right age or time to start looking after yourself? Shiv, any thoughts?
I thought is from day one.
Hmm.
You don't have to wait until you're old to start looking after yourself or understanding what you want or empowering yourself. From day one, when your cognitive abilities take over and say, look, yes, this is what I wish to do, that's the stage because that becomes a part of you. You can't infuse something when you're 60, which you're not used to. Nah? A man may be able to do it. A woman has a tremendous problem in unlearning the process and relearning something new. It's not possible. So the best way to do it is there is no time. You start as soon as possible. That
Yeah,
would be my
and it could be with little things, right? Like
Yes.
even like taking time to go out for a walk or listening to music if you wish to. So just by those small things that you can do for yourself, which give you pleasure.
The principle is set in place.
Yeah. Okay, Yashpalji has another question. Isn't it ironical that you leave your companion to empower yourself, and on the other hand, you wish to have a companion to call yourself empowered? I'm not sure it's true in either of the cases. You're not no.
No, this is a trick question. This is a catch 22 question, and fundamentally, you don't leave your companion to empower yourself. No, you don't. You don't. Within that relationship, you empower yourself. And when your companion is lost and you're alone, then you seek the whole process of getting another companion to be empowering both. So that's a very beautifully worded question. I'm
So the
very
lawyer
nicely.
in you could catch it. Nice. Okay, so the questions that we had from the audience are done with for now. So yeah, so we have last 5 minutes. Any other thoughts that you would like to share? Shiv, anything from your experience of working with seniors, which we may have missed out on?
Okay, one observation I'd like to make is that we are talking about empowerment of senior citizens. Every segment of society has a different set of problems. Across the board, it is not possible to categorize them and say that it applies to every section of society, every section of old age or old people. It's not possible. If you go to the economically backward sections of society, you will find that their understanding of empowerment is completely different. They don't even want empowerment because it is within that hierarchy of control and authority that they find their happiness. Take the BPL families. Move to the next, slightly better, the middle class, the lower middle class people. There begins the questioning process of saying, look, am I really empowered? Is this what I want to do? Am I doing the right thing? But it remains at a question level. Nobody does anything to move forward and answer that question. Move to the next level, that is where all these conflicts begin, because that is where the ability to do something that you want to do is made available to you. A BPL family or slightly a lower income family, they don't have the platform, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the means to do it. But the next segment, that is where all these issues originate. Therefore, I think the point I'm trying to make is we cannot have an across the board solution.
Right.
It is so dependent on the circumstances, the social milieu, the culture, the upbringing, the conditioning, the characters, the personalities. Only thing we can actually broad base and put across the board is to say, spend a little time, doesn't matter which segment of society you're in, to understand what is it that you actually feel you want to do and what is it that you've not done. that you want to do, as Aruna pointed out, to come back to that question. Understand and have a realistic assessment of whether you can actually do it or not. The lower economic society section people, they will not have the opportunity. So the haves will have to encourage and provide for the have-nots to understand what they want to do and empower them. So let's not look for an across-the-board solution. I don't think that is possible. I don't think that's possible at all. That's what
But then,
we
do you think raising your own level of consciousness, your own awareness, can actually lead to that whole self-empowerment that we have been talking about?
Yes, that's what I said. I said it is self-empowerment.
Hmm.
We
But
have
then
to
that awareness is needed, right? That awareness, that consciousness is very much needed.
and
To
where
even
does that
realize
come?
that I don't have it or I want it.
That's right. So either you realize it yourself because it begins as a want. Oh my God, I wish I could do this. It may begin there. If you don't have anything of that kind, you have somebody who will encourage a thought process in you. Look, why are you not doing this? This is your aptitude. You have so much aptitude, so much talent. Why are you not doing this? That's the trigger point that we owe to other people in society. Some people are born with that. Some people don't. So you have to trigger it.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from.
Aruna, anything that you would like to add as your parting thoughts? We have just last 2 minutes left now.
Shiv said, that different parts of society, I feel it is different categories I've seen, in people. You can see them in three. The one I have seen who are very happy family, the children are together, husband, wife, both loving. So they are not interested in anything else. Okay, they are busy in their own. So they may not even understand what the other people are going through. That is one sort of one particular segment. The other last extreme is, who are happy with whatever is happening with them. For the society, they just want to, okay, whatever is there, I am okay with it.
That's right.
They can't think beyond that. So these people are also happy. These people are also happy. It is the in-between segment. In that, I see as A and B, where some people are ready to live their life and do what they want and come out and be who they are. And the other one who really want to, but still struggling to. So it's A, like, 1, 2, and 3. In 2, it is A and B. This is what I have found among the whole society. So the 1 and 2 will never understand. They are happy with their own lives, whether this end or that end.
Right.
So for them, it is, what is this, traveling alone or doing, what are they talking about? Because they are very happy with their own family.
It's very interesting you mentioned this, Aruna. At the one of the mediations we had, there was a 73-year-old man who was seeking a divorce from his wife. The wife herself was some 70 years old. And his problem was that the wife was happy with the way he was treating her, which he knew was not the way he should be treating her. I was floored. I said, how do I even treat this problem? So you're right. There is A, there is B, there is C. And some people come to us and say, I'm happy being a doormat. This is my definition of happiness. I've redefined it. I'm empowered. I can do it. You're right. You're absolutely right. So as I said, you can't have an across-the-board solution. You can't.
Yeah, there can't be one. Yeah. But thank you so much. It was a very engaging and interactive discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed, because I think we could touch upon all the important topics that really do exist. So thank you so much for joining in. And thank you, PLIF, again, and everybody else who's been watching and listening to us. I hope you found it encouraging, and it would probably help you trigger at least the thought of empowering yourself if you're not already empowered, and you will take some steps towards it. And Silver Talkies is around, and if you want to get some more help and support in this community, you're most welcome. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aruna. Thank you so much. A great
It
pleasure.
was indeed an honor to have you with us today. Our next session will begin after a short break. Join us for The Doctrine of Peace at 11:15 a.m.